All right, all right, all right. You know, sometimes I win Academy Awards and do Lincoln commercials, but sometimes I fight dragons too. Wow, this impression sucks. That sounds nothing like Matthew McCounagey. Let's just start the podcast, because today we're talking about Reign of Fire.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Well. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fans of Academy Award winners being in dragon fighting apocalypse movies. That's a very narrow category.
It's very niche.
The fans of that category of films love this movie.
It's the only movie I think
it is.
They can love.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, welcome to Guilty Movie Pleasures. If it's your first time joining us, thank you for being here. If it's your 176th, I think is how many shows you've done. It's all a blur. Thank you for coming back. I'm your host, Ben Begley, and with me as always,
Jesse McIntosh.
Yes, we're back. We were off last week. Ooh, the boys are back in town. Yes. So we've had an ongoing list of suggestions that I keep track of, and Jesse and I both pick our top four, and then we put that out to the audience.
Yep.
And Reign of Fire, it was neck and neck between the first G.I. Joe movie, not the animated one, but the first Channing Tatum one. And there, I think William Lowry was very excited.
I think that's the entire reason for the support of that movie.
Yeah,
was for
just
my Channing Tatum impression.
Which I think when we do that, which maybe will be next week, who knows?
Possibly.
Unless it's October 1st. I can't remember the date.
I think it is. I think we're moving into October, so you got to
moving
wait
into
till
horror
November.
films. I think whenever we do cover G.I. Joe, you have to, at least 30% of the show needs to be in Channing Tatum's voice.
I might come in dressed as Channing Tatum. I don't know what that means.
From Step Up 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Backwards hat.
How you
dance
would be able to tell.
Or
that
Step
I
Up
was.
1, I think. Sorry.
He had a brief cameo in Step Up 2, the streets. But he
What was
that? Step Up 2,
What's a...
the streets.
I thought you said Step Up to Cole in the streets.
No.
And I was like,
No, Cole...
That's Trump's dream.
Cole remains
Beautiful,
in the
clean
home.
coal in the streets. Oh, okay,
No.
Cole is the title. Okay.
Colon,
Oh, I
the streets.
snuck in a political joke there. Uh-oh.
We spent maybe like a disproportionately large amount of time talking about the title of Step Up 2.
We did. So let's
But
talk about Reign of Fire.
I do want to just circle back,
Yeah.
even though we haven't done anything yet. You're pretty good at impressions, typically.
This one was real bad.
This one was awful. I don't know what. And he's like one of the more impersonated
I know.
people out there.
All right.
It's a little bit like Adam Sandler doing a Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
What you did in the intro. That
Yeah.
was a little bit better what you just did.
All right. It's just like halfway through, I just started getting a little too twangy with it, and it just became general Southern.
Sure. Yeah.
I was not proud of it. That's why I bailed on it halfway through.
Yeah.
And what did I say about my intro right before this?
You said, so you landed on that. And you
That
said,
was pre-planned, by the way.
You said, well, I've done worse. F it. So this is the type of energy we're bringing into the Reign of Fire podcast.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah.
But to now circle back
Please.
to actually beginning our show.
I'm dizzy.
I watched Reign of Fire. I'm so glad this was chosen, because I watched Reign of Fire when it first came out on video. I don't think I saw it in theaters. And I remember being like, because this came out in 2000, I believe.
I feel like 02.
2000. I'm gonna say 2000. In that general vicinity.
Early aughts.
Early aughts. And I remember at that time, I was like, there's not enough dragon fights. There's not enough dragons being seen in it. And rewatching it now, I actually think a lot of the effects, for the most part, hold up pretty well, because they kind of do the Jaws technique, where the dragons are far away or in shadows, and then when they are shown, it's like wide shots. And I ended up really loving this movie. And Renee came down halfway through, and I was like, this movie's awesome. I was having so much fun. I love the fact that it wasn't a joke fest. It was super serious about a dragon apocalypse. And Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale are committed as F in this movie.
Yeah.
And this was like Christian Bale before he became well known in the States. This was right after, I looked it up, it was right after American Psycho. And then I think Equilibrium was directly after this.
Mm-hmm. And so correct me if I'm wrong, he had not done Vice yet.
No, he had not done that.
Okay.
Yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but this was like, and Matthew McConaughey, this was a bonkers role for him too. And I love how committed, and like that scene where he comes in and shames everyone for partying after his men died is awesome. And I found the action scenes to be really cool. I thought the skydiving sequence was rad. I just really enjoyed this entire ride. I thought it was very well paced, and I had a blast with it. Now I'm interested to see if you agree at all. I'm so excited because I have no idea. You have a poker face today.
I do. And
it's not just from fear of all my randomness.
It's actually just like I've been taken a little bit aback. Not fear, but it's just like it's just been a sight to see.
That's what happens when I'm on cold brew.
Yeah.
Changes things.
You're 90% done. So there's more to come.
Keep you on your toes.
This movie, what surprised me. Let me start over. It surprised me based on my expectations. Once the movie started, I was never surprised at all.
Okay.
It was an extremely predictable movie, like every single beat of it.
I could see that to a degree.
And we can talk about that more.
You even saw the one male dragon coming?
I mean, I saw that we got to kill one of them. I didn't like the specific of it.
Because I mean, how would you take out 3,000 dragons?
Right. But it's a ton of fun. It looks very cool.
Yeah.
The performances are...
The sets are awesome.
Are better than you would typically expect for a dragon apocalypse movie.
Right.
And I thought the dragons were cool. Like you said, the skydiving sequence was great.
It was awesome.
It was great.
And those type of sequences nowadays with modern effects sometimes fail.
Yeah.
But there was a tension of these since we're talking about it, we might as well describe it. There's this sequence where Matthew McConaughey's main like ranger, they're all in the U.S. Army. They've been tracking this male dragon here, and they're drawing out one of the dragons. One of the dragons comes into the sky near the castle where Christian Bale and his people live, and they go out. They take the helicopter out. They get the dragon's attention. They use one of their parachuting. They have like the glider arms.
Yeah.
They basically free fall out. One of them is bait. The dragon chases them as two others get their net guns ready, but they're going through these thick clouds, so they can't really see anything. And the cloud effect was a brilliant thing to use, because then it hid the fact of the green screen or like crappy CGI, because it's a lot of chaos, but it's also shot really smoothly. It wasn't like nowadays when it's super jittery, like the Paul Greengrass effect.
Yeah.
The Bourne Identity or Bourne Ultimatum effect. But that whole scene had a ton of tension for me, and the one guy gets just eaten. The other one, the first one gets eaten, right?
First one? No, the first one falls.
Oh, falls to his death.
Yeah.
So the first one, he's so distracted with the dragon and not knowing where he is that and the signal gets cut out or something.
Yeah.
And they just show, and they don't even need to show him actually hit. You just see on the radar just,
yeah.
And you're like, oh my God. The other dude gets eaten. Mm-hmm. The dragon flies up and chomps him.
Yep.
And then the third guy survives. The third guy parachutes and survives because the other dude gets burnt on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
But it's such a tense, awesome sequence that just showed these guys had balls. Like, who already just being a soldier is gutsy enough, let alone free falling with a friggin' dragon on your tail.
Sure.
That can breathe fire and just toast you any minute.
And what you're equipped with is a net.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved to have seen one of the 200 kills that they had and how they pulled that off, because it seems dicey, like the whole plan.
Maybe less clouds. I like that they established, there are some rules they established, like magic hour. It doesn't fully make sense, but when the light is in between day and night,
right,
dragons get confused.
I wonder if their DP was like, it would be dope if we could shoot this like in magic hour, and they were like, great, we'll write it in,
because it doesn't really make sense. No. When it's like they can see good during the day, they can see even better at night.
Right,
it's that time in between where it's a little confusing,
where it's beautiful out.
I mean, everything looks gorgeous.
Yeah,
there's some tension in the scene which we'll get into, but like the scene where the family's in the field trying to pick the fruit, and the dragon comes and just starts torching all of them.
Yeah,
and there's some real sense of loss and guilt with Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale. This movie is way better than it has any right to be.
Yeah, I actually looked it up to see if people liked this movie.
I don't even know.
IMDb had it at like 62%. I don't know what like Rotten Tomatoes or whatever is, but
I can find out.
that was shocking to me. Like this feels like it should have been a more popular movie.
Right?
Yeah.
I just wonder if this was before its time, you know, if it's one of those movies. Let's see what it is on Rotten Tomatoes.
We weren't yet ready.
Jesus. 42% on Rotten Tomatoes and 49% audience score.
That doesn't make sense.
And it says Rain of Fire gained some altitude with its pyrotechnic action and a smolderingly campy Matthew McConaughey, but the feature's wings are clipped by a derivative script and visual effects that fizzle out. I disagree with that entirely.
So I think derivative script is kind of what I was getting at. Where,
sure.
Like, it's just like every single beat of it is familiar and like nothing. There are no curveballs. It's literally like.
I mean, the skydiving scene was a curveball, but just a cool set piece.
Yeah,
it's not like a twist that was like, whoa.
You know, in the middle there's going to be a dragon fighting set piece, and it was just like that was a particularly cool one. But like. Every death, every like character intro, everything along the way.
You knew Gerard Butler was going to. Yeah, as soon as they introduced him.
Yeah, the moment he was introduced, and I
love
exactly
seeing young Gerard Butler too.
It's like kind of skinny,
right?
I was like, yeah, it was before he got the protein powder.
Before he bulked up and got that. That's not how he talks. I'm getting very bad at impressions today.
Yeah, just today. It's the cold brew.
It's the cold brew.
And correct me if I'm wrong. This was before Gerard Butler did Vice. Right?
Yeah. Actually, little known fact, multiple people played Dick Cheney in Vice.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that only Christian Bale won.
I don't think he won.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
He won he won a Golden Globe, I believe, but I don't Rami Malek won.
Oh yeah. I don't remember.
Agree to disagree.
The government won.
What's that?
Nothing.
What's that?
I said the government won.
Oh, the government won. The government won, so we all lose. Let's do the plot in under 3. Wait, first, before we do that, I want to know, what was you said your expectations before it. It was better than your What were your expectations going into it?
My expectations were that there was gonna be a lot of stuff that I had questions about, and I didn't really.
No, right?
Like they set it up, they set the rules, and they followed the rules.
Yeah.
And it was like I felt like I was going to have to take many more leaps of faith than I ended up having to take for a dragon apocalypse movie.
So is it safe to say that the derivative script you can give a little leeway because they filled in the gap?
I liked this movie.
Awesome.
I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yes. Yes.
I would say and it's not even a criticism, just an observation that like every single step along the way, they were not ahead of me on anything.
I'm glad that they didn't fully shove the love story down our throat, although it still feels. It was like around that time. I like that movies are now veering away from always feeling the need to make.
Yeah.
If there's a male and female character on screen, it does not mean they have to fall in love. If it's a natural progression of events, awesome. Mm-hmm. Great. But you don't need to, just because they are of the opposite sex and are the two pseudo leads, does not mean by the end, and the only survivors does not mean by the end of the movie they have to be like the gravest offense of this is I think we watched Deep Blue Sea on here, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Where Saffron Burrows and Thomas Jane are being built up to be love interests, then she full on sacrifices herself and gets killed, and he and LL Cool J are joking at the end. I'm like, what?
Right.
You were building up a love interest and then you just murder her, and they're like, oh well.
And isn't love the deepest blue sea?
It is. It is. I really wish Deep Blue Sea was 2 instead of being called Deep Blue Sea. 2 was deepest or deeper Blue Sea, and then the third one's Deepest Blue Sea.
Yeah,
Deeper Blue Sea sounds a little like a porn parody of Deep Blue Sea, where it's all just water sex.
Deep dish orgy.
You'll never forget that. All right, plot in under 3 minutes. Let's do this.
Okay,
you ready in the booth, Ryan?
I'm all set.
Sometimes your voice is so masculine, it startles me.
I saw you jump a little.
I was like, that's a lot of...
And shout out to the chat real quick, raining fire in the comments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Please, if there's any like greatest hits in there or any questions, feel free to chime in, Ryan. I love to engage the live audience.
Yeah, let's address it.
You got it, but I'm chiming in with the plot in under 3 minutes.
All right. That was Ryan saying, shut up and stay on course. All right, perfect.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we start off with this subplot that doesn't really go anywhere, where Quinn is a student. He's not going to get a scholarship. His mom is digging mines, and then that all goes somewhere, but the scholarship thing is unnecessary. And then he goes down this hole, the asshole of the world, they call it, and he goes down there and he sees what looks like scales, and then it's this male dragon comes out, burns up everything, crushes the elevator that him and his mom are in.
His eyes.
Yeah, spits the stuff in his eyes, and then crushes the elevator his mom's in, kills her. Then we cut to now the apocalypse has happened, dragons came out, burned everything. Christian Bale is held up in 2020, so next year.
Oh boy.
They're all held up in this castle now, where he has this group of survivors that are trying to make, and they're debating whether or not to go harvest the crops yet, or wait till they're ripe, because they need to ration things.
So one of the survivors decides that he's going to go get the crops because he has a family. So Eddie goes out, and a dragon comes and starts burning everything. And then Christian Bale shows up in his fireproof suit and his tanks, and he rescues him, takes him back. Right as they come back, Matthew McConaughey comes in with all of his tanks and his helicopter, and he's like, "We need a place to stay for the night." And they're like, "I don't know about you," and he's like, "Don't worry, I'm good." And they're like, "Okay."
That was the one plot where I was like, "Wow, this guy does not seem good."
Okay. And then he reveals that he's killed dragons, and then a dragon shows up, and so they're like, all right, we're going to kill these dragons.
And the awesome skydiving sequence that we talked about happens. Mm-hmm. And then they're all celebrating because they're like, we killed a dragon! We killed a dragon! And Matthew McConaughey says, shame! Shame on all of you. Mm-hmm. 3 of my men died. You're disgraceful. You're disgusting. And then they, then from there, they go to... so
then Matthew McConaughey is like, we're here because we want to kill the guy dragon. The male dragon. And Christian Bale's like, get the hell out of here. And Matthew McConaughey is like, I'm going, but I'm taking all of your guys.
I'm taking your best soldiers, basically.
Yeah. So
he does that.
Yeah.
They all are lined up ready to kill this dragon, and in one fell swoop, the male dragon comes in and burns everyone but McConaughey.
Yep.
And, convenient plot device.
Sure.
And then he comes back, but before he gets back to the castle, the dragon goes to the castle, orphans all the children.
Yep.
By the way.
Yep.
Every single parent is dead, except the children and Christian Bale and like the female character. A couple women. That's it.
Yeah.
And then, so then Christian Bale and...
This is when Gerard Butler dies.
Gerard Butler dies, trying to go up there and help out and get the adults down. And Christian Bale, the female lead, I forget her name, and then Matthew McConaughey all go to London to find the male. They realize they have to draw him out, so they use her as bait. And then Matthew McConaughey goes. Christian Bale drops his grenade spear thing, and Matthew McConaughey shoots him once. Doesn't work, so he takes his axe and jumps into the mouth of the dragon, which is amazing.
Yep. And
then Christian Bale manages to do the kill shot, and then we cut to where they're all on the farm, and the dragons have started to starve, and everything's gravy now.
Yay.
Time's up.
Oh my god! The only thing I remembered from this movie, from seeing it back when it came out, was Matthew McConaughey jumping into the mouth of the dragon.
That was I didn't realize that was from this movie, and then I saw it. I was like, that was in the trailer, and I remember that moment specifically from the trailer.
In the trailer?
Yeah.
It didn't show him jumping into the mouth.
Not into the mouth, but it showed him like slow-mo jumping off with an axe.
Which you're like, the only logical place he could end up is the mouth.
I suppose so.
I hate when trailers do that. There's constantly where it's like... where they show the end of the movie in the trailer.
Yeah.
Or like the most egregious offense of this, I keep figuring out different ways to say something offense, was Quarantine, with the movie where there's those zombies that break out.
Okay.
And it was based on, I think, Record, the Spanish film. The cover of the movie is the last shot of them.
What?
The cover of the VHS and DVD is the very last shot of the movie.
Well, that's insane.
Mm-hmm. So spoilers, don't look at the cover if you want to ever watch that movie. And they show the last shot in the trailer.
I was watching, I think it was Dexter, where...
it was the sister from Dexter who's in that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's an incredible connection there. But I think I was watching Dexter, and it was like the beginning, I was a DVD beginning of season 1, and it had like a Showtime promo that had stuff from like the current season on it. And I was like, why would you put that promo on the DVD of the show that you just spoiled? Anyway.
Yep.
The point that I was going to make about this shot is Matthew McConaughey is like an Olympic level broad jumper. Like, it was an incredible distance that he traveled jumping off of this platform.
It was fueled by all his rage towards these dragons. And knowing that he was going to die. So if he's going to die, he's going to go out swinging.
My dude, like, has survived for so long, killed a ton of dragons, and then in this moment, he's just like, I'm going to try an axe, and if I'm unsuccessful, I'll die, and if I'm successful, I'll probably still die.
Do you have that clip we can play real quick, Ryan?
We have something.
Oh, let's do it. Let's play it, and we'll.
I don't know if there's audio.
We'll narrate it. Here we go. So this is his fury.
So it's a 2-foot jump. Oh my
look at that!
Lord!
Look at that! He's jumping, and then he's full on eaten, and at least his axe conveniently falls down so that Christian Bale can pick it up.
And I guess the dragon is like smoking.
Yeah, because he shot him once.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Also, like
But watch that again. Look how far. He's literally, I don't even know how much of a running start
this
he
is
gets.
insane because he jumps off of both feet. The fact that he is able to get...
I mean, that's not that big of a running start.
That's like a 30-foot
Yeah.
leap. And he's still on an upward trajectory when we get that shot.
So good.
It's a leap of faith.
That's such a good
shot
call.
is so awesome. It makes no sense why he does that instead of... I mean, like I said, I think he knew in that moment that he's... Because if he tried to go back down the ladder, he would rather die a hero's death with a big FU to the dragon than scurrying down a ladder like, oh no.
I guess it didn't...
And it just looks cool.
It, like, didn't do anything for their ultimate, like, battle with the dragon. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't help the other two kill him at all.
I guess it would have made more sense if he had, like, wounded it.
Or sacrificed himself so that they could shoot.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just useless suicide.
It's just a cool... Yeah. It's the one time jumping into a dragon's mouth looks super cool.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I've
Might
often
not
said
apply.
that.
It loosely applies, Ryan. I think so.
I think you nailed it.
I think you nailed it.
I think I crushed it.
So we have this whole prologue. The kid goes down. This is our first sound clip. The kid goes down and he's talking to one of his mom's coworkers. Do you call them coworkers when they're co-miners?
Yeah, coworkers.
Coworkers, yeah. They're working together.
Yeah.
Let's play clip number 1. This is the description of the underbelly of the earth they're drilling through.
Here we go.
Wait for it. The suspense is killing
There
me.
we go. Oh, it's
Loading.
getting rainbow wheels.
Perfect.
Loading.
Sorry about this.
And what brings you to the asshole of the world?
You're passing through it. What's that make you?
You know, sometimes in I live in the valley here, and sometimes it gets so hot during the summer that any friend that comes to visit, I greet them at the door like this.
And what brings you to the asshole of the world?
You're passing through it. What's that make you?
And I never see that joke coming. I never see that comeback.
Even though they do it every time?
Every time.
That's incredible.
Every time it's always a surprise.
You should write it down and just have it there for reference, just in case.
It's different people I do that line to, and I just assume that one of them is not going to
Are they all, like,
be quick on the draw.
friends with each other?
Maybe they're in a group text chain
Must
saying,
be.
hey, Ben always says this stupid thing.
It's an elaborate prank on you.
I do call the valley the armpit of the world.
Okay.
Because it's sweaty and gross.
Yeah.
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 You have anything for asshole of the world? Oh!
No.
I mean, I could
No, go. Do it. Do it. I know what you're going to do. That's what I was going to do, and I decided not to.
What's funny is that Greta Thunberg,
Yeah.
she actually, when she met she was going to meet with President Trump, and then Trump actually declined to meet with her.
Sure, as you do.
But one of his aides outside of the Oval Office before she went in there was asked Greta this.
And what brings you to the asshole of the world?
You're passing through it. What's that make you?
And then she reminded him that we have 8.5 years before we're all completely screwed.
Great. Yeah.
And yeah. Come on, she's awesome.
And now they're in a Twitter war.
And now they're in a Twitter war.
Which is just the way of the world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How old is she? Like 16 or something?
I think she's 16. Yeah.
And he's like 79 going on Vampire 1000. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He's probably lied about his age.
I like that I heard Ryan chuckling as I was getting ready for that. He's like, oh no, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on. Back to the movie. Gerard Butler's his best bud. I like that they ground this movie in the real world by having a pop culture reference where like they're reenacting the Star Wars scene for the kids. And they're like, what's that from? It's called The Empire Strikes Back. You know, that was a weird Keanu meets.
I'm insisting on you doing impressions for the rest of the episode.
But I love that sequence with the kids.
Yeah.
Because I often think about in the apocalypse, like, what do you do? I love movies so much. That would be like aside from like fighting for our survival and risking starvation and all that like health stuff, the biggest thing I'd be bummed about is no more movies.
Yeah, so you just got to act them out.
You gotta act them out.
The White Knight says, you killed my father.
But for copyright reasons, they have to say the White Knight says.
Right.
Also, to these kids, all the like backstory of Darth Vader and all that would be very confusing.
I mean, they have infinite time, so
You're right.
yeah,
I
just,
mean, you
just
could
explain it to them.
do a 3-hour play.
Yeah. So I did want to say, backtracking to the mines.
Yeah.
There were two things in this movie where I had I was like, I thought I was gonna have a ton of questions. Two moments where I did. The first moment was in the mines when him and his mom are in the elevator going up, in the lift going up, and the dragon blows fire on the lift, and the mom dies, and he's fine.
I think the fire didn't do it. I think from what I saw, it looked like the claw crushed the elevator and
that's what it was.
Smashed her.
That makes sense.
Because she wasn't burned, she was smashed.
Great, but
But I think the fire, because of the bottom, was blocked and went around.
Okay.
Which you would think, though, it would still fill. Whatever.
It doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it's a small thing, but they were.
The thing I didn't understand is they made a big deal of him getting that stuff in his eyes,
right,
and having the red eyes. But then that didn't really come back when he was an adult, right?
The only thing it did when they were talking about the male, and he was like, "Yeah, they secrete two different things." The fire and that other he just mentioned it,
but that was because he had a physicist or whatever.
No, he was saying
in his ranks that got killed.
The physicist understood that the male impregnated all the eggs or like fertilized all the eggs at one time.
The physicist said the thing about the
I thought the secretion he was doing from memory because that's what the dragon hit him with.
I just thought it was going to give him some kind of either a deficiency, like he couldn't see as well because of it, or. Like, maybe that's why he was having trouble, but they never revisit it.
Also, like, stop casting Christian Bale as a dude whose parents tragically died.
Come on!
You know what
this
I mean?
This is pre-Batman Begins. So maybe this one...
Just before Vice.
Maybe...
I'm trying to get this timeline in my head.
Vice is like in the quantum realm of movies for you, where it's like, Vice is at all points, right? So basically there's this incredible sequence I really loved when Eddie takes his family and tries to go get the crops. He's being selfish. But Christian Bale afterwards isn't mad at him. He understands. He's like, I'm a single guy. I don't have a family to provide for. So who am I to say you can't try and feed your family? So I like that there wasn't that clash afterwards and that there was sympathy for Eddie after he lost his son. He had to bury his son. And that sequence was pretty tense when they're stuck in these fields and everybody's just, and the dragon comes and is torching everything around them and they're stuck. And I loved just how succinctly they set up, this is how we rescue people. We're in flame retardant outfits. We have tanks. We have water hoses.
Yeah.
They didn't need to explain all that. This movie does a great job of showing you the world through actions and through set pieces and through set design, where you don't need like, well, we go out there and we got to get this on and this, I really enjoyed that about it, and I thought that whole sequence when they rescue him was cool. And I like even that they hinted at the fact that the dragons torch everything and then eat the ash, and that's how they survive. Like torch living things and then eat the ash, which I'm still a little confused on, but I like that they added that in there.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Sure.
Just world building. I think this movie does a good job of more subtle world building than I would expect from a movie like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And
normally, like Godzilla King of Monsters had. Every scene that wasn't monsters fighting was exposition dump after exposition dump.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. They give us a lot of visual stuff. And what I also appreciated about it, there was a ton of urgency, even in the castle world, where they're safe and they're just there surviving. The first three things that happen when we're in the castle is alarm, alarm, alarm.
Yeah.
It's just back to back to back.
For me, there was never a dull moment.
There's never a moment where you're like, oh, they can relax and they're just living, except for the Star Wars moment.
Which is cool because it establishes how it gives a little bit of heart to it with Christian Bale and Gerard Butler, because otherwise it's a very morose movie. Other than that, moment.
But tension's up at all times.
Yeah,
and there's a variety of different threats, and they hit all three of them back to back to back, which I thought was great. Yeah, so good. Let's move on to one of my favorite clips, which is how I feel like unfortunately a lot of the world feels about us right now. When Matthew McConaughey and all his tanks roll up.
he gets out and he does this amazing, like, over the top, like he cracks his back and is like, "Ugh," and does all these grunts as if he's been sitting in this tank that's like 4 sizes too small for him, and he's finally like, so this is Gerard Butler responding to seeing what the latest threat to the castle is.
Only one thing worse than a dragon. Americans.
I love it.
Yeah.
That joke has been consistent in movies for decades now, where, like, especially British or across the pond movies, where it's always like, even like Christmas movies like Love Actually, where it's like, the American president's coming. And he's Billy Bob Thornton, and he's a total sleazebag. You know, it's like, we've not been looked fondly upon.
We have a reputation for
it
sure.
precedes us.
Yeah.
And then there's a square off where, so 30 minutes in is when Matthew McConaughey shows up, and he and Christian Bale have a manly off, like a mano a mano. Man off.
A manly off.
A manly off. I was trying to think of a better way to say it, but I'm gonna just settle on manly off.
There's no topping it.
Hashtag manly off.
Manly off.
And this is how McConaughey, convinces him. Clip number 3.
Don't be a fool. We can do this easy, or we can do it real easy.
I love that, because I'm like, so I've never heard that as a proposal before.
Lay out the 2 options. I want to know the difference between easy and real easy.
I think easy is you agree and let us in, or real easy, we just walk in and storm the place because we have more weapons.
That's the order of it?
I think so.
Okay.
Or maybe easy.
I think it's the other way.
I think easy is we'll just walk in, or real easy is you. Yeah, you're right.
In.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. That makes more sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't be easier for them just to walk, because then they would have just done it.
This is the one. What were you going to do? Play it.
We can do this easy, or we can do it real easy.
When Staples was coming up with that was easy button. They had variations on it, and one of them was, if you press the button, that it says this, that it says,
or we can do it real easy.
There you go. Or we can do it real easy. And it's like, no, let's just stick with that was easy.
Yeah.
I like when we build the tension for the sound clips.
It's the only way to sound clip.
This is the one scene in the movie where I still love it. I love the dynamic between Bale and McConaughey, and it's 2 gruff actors being very gruff.
Like halfway through this movie, I was like, damn, there's a lot of testosterone in this movie. It's just like dicks out, man. Like, I don't...
not literally.
Not literally, but like...
but might as well be, metaphorically.
As metaphorically as it could have been.
And... Christian Bale in that moment is like, I saw something in his eyes. You didn't talk to him. And in this moment, I think what I gathered from it is he either had to believe him that he did kill these dragons and had seen some shit, or try and fight him knowing he would lose and knowing these guys would become maniacs. So I think it was like, it's like weighing the lesser of 2 evils. I don't think this is a plot hole scene by any means. I think it was literally just him going, which is the course of least resistance.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he fights him later, and we see what happens.
He gets his ass handed to him.
Yeah, he
immediately
beat down.
I'm like, come on, you're Batman, dude.
Right.
So
not yet.
He hadn't even begun to be Batman yet.
Nor had he begun.
God bless it.
To be Dick Cheney.
So we already talked about how they do the get out of the chopper and how they fight the dragon and all that. And there's a cool scene where Christian Bale reveals to the helicopter pilot, I forget her name in this, God bless it. I know Van Sant is his name, but he took in Jared because his mother and father were killed by dragons. And right, is that what happened?
Yeah.
He
was in a village they were walking by on their way to the castle.
Yeah, and he
had been orphaned, and so he grabbed them.
Yeah, and I thought that, again, I think that's a really cool way to bring heart into the movie, where it's not forced. There's not a ton of like schmaltzy scenes with those two. He just has this father-son dynamic with him, because, and to me, that's again showing things through action, where like their relationship is predominantly just in their actions around each other, not like that's the only bit of dialogue we get about the exposition between them.
And you know, speaking of tension release, he then immediately like releases the moment when he's like, yeah, I regretted it ever since. And clearly he hasn't, but like just giving it a little bit of lightness really like goes a long way in that.
Because I feel like you can tell in Christian Bale's performance that his character has gone through a horrible amount of things and he's trying so hard to keep it together, but also still has a real love for the people in this castle and a real sense of needing to protect them.
Sure.
And it's kind of like Rick Grimes from Walking Dead before he went completely nuts, you know, although I bailed in the Negan season.
I bailed way before you did.
I have no idea. Yeah. Oh God, we only have 11 minutes left. Okay, so there's an awesome skydiving sequence, which we already went to ad nauseum, but there's that great scene before it where they're trying to, they don't over explain it. It's just like, we have to put these sensors in the ground for 3D mapping. It's some sort of radar system that shows 3D mapping of the environment to track the dragon. That's all you need to know. You don't need a bunch of jargon. And we know that one of them gets, one of the motorcyclist that's carrying one of those gets burnt by the dragon. And then Christian Bale has to go and find it and replace it. And just in time because it appears in front of the helicopter.
By horse.
By horse.
Like, where did the horse come from? Yeah.
Awesome. I think they had him.
Did they have a horse?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
That sequence is rad.
Yeah.
I love that. The tension in that's great. Like I said, all these set pieces are directed really well, where they show enough of the dragons without going full Cloverfield, where the end of the first Cloverfield movie still drives me crazy when they show the monster in extreme close-ups and you see everything, and it just, to me, the mystery, it depends on the movie, but like with Cloverfield and with this, the mystery is more so when you see less of it. It's cooler when you see less of it. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. Then there's the argument after Van Sant shames everybody because his men got killed and they're all celebrating.
So this is exactly what I was thinking when they were celebrating.
Yeah, I was like, what a bunch of a-holes.
Like, wow, people died. Like, how many dragons are there? There are like hundreds
we got
thousands,
one!
And you got one of them.
And then he comes in and immediately says that.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, oh, big deal, you killed one dragon. And you guys are partying like it's, you know, Y2K right now. That's not what he said.
That's a great reference.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. I remember Y2K. People were freaked out.
Are you talking about Y2K or Will 2K?
Y2K.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Do you remember that people back in the day, for you youngsters out there, when Y2K happened, which was 1999, where everybody believed that because there was this theory that because the computers were made prior to that and they weren't, the dates on them weren't set to incorporate changing from 1999 to 2000, that it was going to cause a massive glitch and stock markets were going to fail. All this stuff was going to go wrong.
Yep.
And people were freaking out. I worked at a grocery store at the time. They were stocking up on canned goods and water on New Year's Eve. I remember people were like, it's been a conspiracy forever. And they'd look at the zipper and see the YKK on there and be like, see, they've been trying to tell us Y2K forever. People literally were saying things like that.
Yeah.
People were fanatics about it. And then guess what happened?
Nothing.
I sang Born to Be Wild at karaoke at Akron's first night, Akron, Ohio, on New Year's Eve. We all had a good time and nothing happened.
Is that what people were actually worried? You singing Born to Be Wild was the Y2K disaster that people were prepping for?
No, people were. I rocked that song.
All right.
I'm saying they got that instead of a disaster.
I see. Okay.
They got a highlight to their evening.
Good for them. And the people of Akron talk about it to this day.
To this day. Anytime I go home, it says, welcome to Akron, Ohio, home of LeBron James and the Black Keys, and that guy who sang Born to Be Wild on 1999's Akron's first night, New Year's Eve. It's a lot.
They had to add a second and.
It's a huge, it's a lot.
That actually happened before LeBron James became
so it was me
nationally
first.
Famous.
You're right.
So
You're right. So I was first.
Yeah.
And then they added the larger sign with LeBron James.
And then it also says, and home of AMC that showed in 2018 the movie Vice. Let's move on.
Jesus. All right. So let's play clip number 4. This is when McCounagey saying there's only one male. Have you ever seen any other males? And Christian Bale snarkily replies.
How about you, Quinn? You ever seen a male?
I don't know. When I'm running for my life, I don't stop to look at the plumbing.
We have.
Ooh, yeah. I like the ooh yeah.
I think he says we have.
Oh, I like it.
We have.
Yeah,
I like ooh yeah better.
Let's hear it.
We have.
I don't know.
It sounds like ooh yeah. Ooh yeah.
I think it's we have, but I like believing oh yeah better.
Look at the plumbing.
We have.
to look at the plumbing. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I think you're right. I think that's somebody we have.
But that's somebody who's super stoked every time the plumber comes over. They're like, all right, I'm here to look at the plumbing. Oh yeah.
It was just like a trigger for him. He just said plumbing. He's like, ooh yeah.
It reminds me of the Cabin Boy line with Chris Elliott. These pipes are clean after he finally has sex. Oh, it's so funny. Anyways, so
they're looking for the dude who
yeah.
happens to be within driving distance of them
because Christian Bale then reveals he's the dragon who he initially saw who killed his mom, and he's been avoiding going back to London for this very reason
because it's awkward. He doesn't want to. He killed his mom. He doesn't want to talk to him anymore.
Super awkward, you know. Yeah. They lost their friendship because of it. Yeah. But Quinn also realizes that there's validity to Van Sant's story because he reaches into the corpse of the dragon they killed and finds a dragon egg in there.
Yeah.
And then Van Sant goes with his men and Quinn's men, and there's this awesome sequence where they all have all these guns, all these tanks, everything ready, a harpoon to kill the dragon with, and he has just, I love that Van Sant, aka McCounagey, with his bald head and beard, is just standing there with a shotgun in the front lines, ready.
There's a lot of shotgun action in this movie, and I truly don't know what they plan to do with those.
I don't know, but it's amazing because the dragon swoops in, everybody starts opening fire, and Van Sant just starts shooting away with the shotgun, and then the flames hit. He launches back in slow motion, dives under a tank, and then the dragon just lays waste to everybody within seconds.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know the physics of fire as well as maybe the filmmakers.
Sure.
But I'm assuming if you lay waste to everything, a little fire would sneak under that tank.
Yeah. I assume that the makers of this film are fire experts.
I do too.
Yeah. At least dragon fire.
Yeah.
Not regular
it's
fire.
It's a fictional fire, so you can make it up.
Oh, I forgot to mention my favorite part of the movie is our introduction to Christian Bale when they're like setting up the like underground safe house, and he's like chopping stuff or whatever, and they're like, something's broke, and he turns around, and to illuminate it, he has just like a Bic lighter. It's like, what can you see with a Bic lighter, dude? Like, what is that there for? I don't know.
They use what they can.
I guess so.
They use what they can in the apocalypse.
Moving on.
I love when you pick out super random stuff. It's amazing. Okay, so then they go to London. They come back.
McConaughey comes back.
McConaughey comes back, but after the castle's been torched and destroyed.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You were right. You were right. I should never have gone."
Yeah, because he's like, "You'll lead the dragons back here."
Yeah.
And then he did. And
I don't care how sorry he feels in that moment. Christian Bale handles it like a champ because literally because of McConaughey's actions in this move, in that particular moment, the dragon has, like we said before, orphaned nearly every child.
And killed his best friend.
Yeah. And so Bale handles it really well.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he just knows that this is the reality of things, but still, it's so dark that this movie goes for it and is like, nope. Basically, Christian Bale and Helicopter Lady are now the parents of 40 children with a couple nannies.
He does have the line where he's like, yeah, we buried hundreds of people on this ground. Like, this is my castle. And so it might just be exactly that. It might just be like, this is like every 6 months they got to cycle through adults kind of thing.
Well, and I think also the fact that like getting mad at him at that moment
it's not productive.
Won't kill the dragon.
Right. Yeah.
So
and he knows what they got to do.
And they could have gone for that. They could have had this moment where it's like, you killed everybody, but instead it's like, no, just get to the action. Yeah. And that's what I love about it. They don't have any. There's no fat in this movie. It's just lean, mean dragon fighting machine. You know.
Nice, yeah.
You like that?
I love it.
So they go to at Magic Hour and they. Quinn knows how to get there because he had been around in the tunnels.
Right.
So they sneak underground.
Well, when they get to London, they see 100 dragons.
Hundreds of dragons.
So this is my second question. Because when they get to fighting the male dragon, they're only fighting the male dragon.
Because all the other dragons go away.
Where did all the other dragons go? And why aren't they protecting the male dragon?
They all leave in the beginning of when they get there. And they say, I can't remember what it was. They said something to justify it. Like, oh, he's trying to draw us out or something. Or I don't know. It was very strange why all of them. Yeah, you're right.
Like, but there should have been other dragons there. For sure, budget. Yeah. And for sure, convenience. Because
and for sure, 3 people against one dragon is already tough enough.
That's going to be a rough battle. But so it was necessary, but it was just a question in the back of my mind. Why is only
I'm going to say budget.
The most important dragon just unguarded here in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Well, maybe because they didn't think, maybe they were circling around and not aware of the underground tunnel. But yeah, once he starts getting attacked.
Yeah, he would send out a signal, but it's
Like a-
magic hour.
Like a raptor.
That's exactly it.
That was a good raptor impression. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. Okay, so clip number 5 is when they get to London, and this is the closest thing to a joke we get in the movie, other than the asshole of the earth.
Well, this town's going to hell.
Again, it's a little moment of levity, but it's not a jokey joke. You know, it's not like wah, wah, wah. This could have been chock full of puns and stupid crap like that. And
yeah, and one-liners. We didn't really get a ton of
sound clips are super hard to pull from this because it's such a serious take on it. But I appreciate it more because of that.
Yes, absolutely.
So they go in there, and then the lead up to how they kill the dragon, I had to hear this like 4 times to fully grasp what Matthew McConaughey says, because there's so many instructions and such a small window of time that they're able to use this one kill shot, and they each have one of them.
Yeah.
And so let's play this, because Christian Bale and helicopter. God, I need to figure out something other than helicopter lady. Isabella Scorupco.
It's okay. We have 1 minute
Isabella.
left.
Anyways, yeah, I figured it out. 1 minute left. So they all just go like, right, as soon as he's done. So listen to this and tell me if you would go, got it.
All right. Here's the plan. When we get to street level, we gotta bring that bull's ass to the ground, and I'm gonna take care of that. Now, one shot's gonna kill him, and it's gonna be with this. He only exposes his chest before he breathes fire. Now, these are magnesium-tipped C4 arrows, and they only fly about 50 feet, so when you fire, you gotta be standing in the furnace. So do not hesitate. If you do, we die.
And they're just like, got it.
Yeah. I feel like that's something where like you first start the journey and like you sort of disseminate that information as you go, just over and over and over again, so that you don't have to like in the heat of it be like, okay, here are 10 things that you have to remember, otherwise all of humanity will die.
Now from a viewing standpoint, I love that, because I'm like, cool, got it out of the way.
Yeah.
But from a character point, I'm like, how do you guys remember that? So McConaughey gets up there and he's on the high ground trying to attack the dragon from there. He gets one shot off. It blows up. He's smoking, but not dead.
Yep.
Because he shoots it too early, I believe. And Christian Bale drops his. Isabella is stuck on the other side, and she was used as the bait, because they have the 2 magnesium tip bomb things. Then we got the awesome shot that we've already talked about of McConaughey just full on axe going into the mouth. And then Christian Bale has one shot, and he manages to shoot it and blow up the dragon's head, and it's awesome. It's this great shot where he kills the dragon, and the day is saved.
Yeah.
And, then we cut to where they're on a hill.
Little House on the Prairie.
Little House on the Prairie, Highlander type shot where everything's happy.
Yeah,
you know?
They're hanging clothes.
They're hanging clothes. You know that you can hang clothes. It's things the intensity of things has scaled back a little bit.
Absolutely.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
I liked it a lot.
I'm so glad I revisited it, because I remember being like lame, and then I'm very happy that this and Drive Angry were both movies that I didn't like upon first viewing, and now I'm kicking myself. We have to start to wrap, as it says up there, so we're going to wrap up for today. That's all the time we have. Please, like we've said before, go onto our iTunes page. Leave us a review there. Leave us some comments on YouTube. Like our videos. Tweet at us your suggestions. We do keep a running list. We want those horror film suggestions specifically now coming in, because October is going to be all horror all month long. Until next time, where can they find you,
You can
Jesse?
find me on Twitter and Instagram at Too Much Jesse, and for Sketch at The Prom Losers.
You can find me at the Ben Begley on Twitter and Instagram, and at Guilty Movie Guys is us, where we talk all things guilty in movies. Until next time, what is your guilty movie pleasure?
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.